Have you ever met someone and in the very first moment, just the very first moment, something inside you whispered, "Where were you? Where were you all this time?" Not anger, not sadness, just this quiet, painful, beautiful realization that the person standing in front of you, this person who makes you feel seen, who makes you feel whole, who makes the noise in your head suddenly go quiet, came into your life at the wrong time. Or maybe what you thought was the wrong time was actually the only time they could have ever arrived, because maybe, just maybe, you needed to go through everything you went through to be ready to truly receive them. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, beautiful souls gathered here today, I want to talk to you about something we don't discuss enough. We talk about love. We celebrate it. We write songs about it. We make movies about it. We spend billions of dollars trying to find it, keep it, and understand it. But what we rarely talk about is the version of yourself that existed before love found you. I want to talk about that person because that person matters. That story matters. See, before this person came into my life, before they walked through the door, before they sent that first message, before that first conversation that somehow lasted 4 hours without either of us noticing, I was living a very specific kind of life. It wasn't a bad life. Please understand that. I had friends, I had routines, I had goals, I had laughter, I had good days and difficult nights. I had plans, beautiful, structured plans for who I was going to be and how my life was going to look. But if I'm being honest with you, truly deeply honest, there was a wall I had built so carefully, so intentionally, brick by brick, experience by experience, disappointment by disappointment. You know the kind of wall I'm talking about? The one that looks like confidence from the outside but feels like protection from the inside? The one where you tell yourself, "I'm fine alone, I don't need anyone, I'm complete, I'm whole." And the terrifying truth is, you actually start to believe it. I had convinced myself that needing someone was weakness, that vulnerability was dangerous, that opening your heart was a risk no intelligent person should take twice. And so I walked through my days, accomplished, functional, busy, safe, and completely, quietly closed. And then, you know how sometimes life doesn't announce its most important moments? There's no background music, no dramatic lighting, no slow motion sequence, no sign from the universe saying, "Pay attention, this is it, this is the one." Sometimes the most life-changing moment of your existence looks like an ordinary Tuesday. It looks like a casual conversation, a friend's party you almost didn't attend, a message you almost didn't reply to, a coffee you almost cancelled. That's how they arrived. Not with fireworks, not with grand gestures, with something far more dangerous, with realness. The first time we really talked, something strange happened. I wasn't performing, I wasn't presenting my best self, I wasn't filtering, I wasn't calculating how I came across. I was just there, present, honest, unguarded, and they were the same. And that is rarer than diamonds, rarer than anything this world offers. Most of us spend our entire lives performing for each other. We show people our highlight reels, our polished selves, our Sunday best personalities. But this person, they somehow made the performance feel unnecessary. They looked at me, at the real me, the messy me, the uncertain me, the me with all the contradictions and imperfections, and they didn't flinch. They didn't offer advice. They didn't try to fix me. They didn't look uncomfortable with my honesty. They just listened. And in that listening, something inside me, something that had been locked for a very long time, quietly, slowly opened. But here's where it gets complicated. Here's where the title of today's speech becomes painfully, beautifully relevant. They came too late. Or at least, that's what it felt like. Because when this person arrived, I wasn't in a place to receive them easily. Life had already written certain chapters. Circumstances had already drawn certain lines. Situations were already in motion that couldn't simply be stopped because someone wonderful had walked into the frame. There are so many ways timing can betray you in love. Maybe you met them when you were healing from something that hadn't finished healing. Maybe you met them when you were committed to someone else. Not happy, but committed. Maybe you met them when you were on the verge of moving to another city, another country, another life. Maybe you met them when you were finally learning to be okay alone. Maybe you met them when you had just decided love wasn't for you. Maybe you met them when success was calling and your heart and your ambition were pulling in opposite directions. Whatever the specifics, You know this feeling. I know you do. That feeling of standing at the intersection of this is right and this is impossible, and not knowing which direction to choose. And the grief of that, the grief of meeting the right person at the complicated time, is one of the most underrated forms of heartbreak that exists. Because the world validates grief when someone leaves, when someone dies, when something ends. But nobody really validates the grief of the love that existed in the wrong window of time. Nobody writes support group pamphlets for the person who was right but the timing was wrong, and so you carry it, quietly, alone, wondering what might have been, wondering if the universe made a mistake, wondering why, of all the 7.5 billion people on this planet, of all the infinite combinations of moments and encounters and possibilities, why did the timing have to be like this? But then something happens. And this is what I really want you to hear today. This is the part that matters most. Even in the difficulty, even in the complication, even in the too late and the wrong time and the painful beauty of it all, you change. You are not the same person you were before they arrived. How can I explain this? You know how a flower grows in concrete sometimes? Against all odds, against all logic, it pushes through, and the concrete is cracked, permanently changed by something soft and living and persistent. That's what love does. Even complicated love, even love that arrives at the wrong time, even love that cannot be everything you want it to be. It cracks you open, and through those cracks, light gets in. Because of this person, I learned what it felt like to be truly seen. Not the version of me I showed the world, the capable, the composed, the collected, but the actual me, the one who doubts himself at 2 a.m., the one who is afraid of failing, the one who sometimes doesn't know what he wants, the one who carries old wounds that never quite healed. They saw that person, and they didn't run. Do you have any idea what that does to a human being? Do you understand how transformative it is to be fully known and still fully accepted? It resets something fundamental inside you. It recalibrates your entire understanding of what you deserve, of what love is supposed to feel like, of what connection truly means. Before them, I thought love was about finding someone who fit perfectly into the life you already had. After them, I understood that love is about being willing to rebuild your understanding of yourself. Before them, I thought strength meant never needing anyone. After them, I understood that the greatest strength is the courage to need and to be needed. Before them, I had a long list of what I wanted in another person. After them, I threw that list away, because I realized I had been shopping for a character in my story, when what I actually needed was someone who made me rewrite the whole story. Let me speak to those of you in this room who know what I'm talking about. You who met someone at the wrong time, you who fell for someone you couldn't fully have, you who loved someone across impossible circumstances, you who still think about a person who came briefly into your life and left something permanent behind. This part is for you. Here is what late love, complicated love, impossible love teaches you. First, it teaches you the truth about yourself. When someone truly sees you, you see yourself more clearly too. The things you've been hiding, avoiding, pretending don't exist. They surface. And yes, that is uncomfortable, but it is the beginning of healing. It is the beginning of becoming. Second, it teaches you what you're actually capable of feeling. Some of us have spent years settling, years in comfortable numbness, years convincing ourselves that a lukewarm feeling was safety and that safety was enough. And then someone comes along and shows you, this is what alive feels like. This is what your heart is capable of. And once you know that, once you've felt the real thing, you can never pretend the imitation is enough again. Third, it teaches you about time and how precious every moment truly is. When you know something is temporary or complicated, you become present in a way you never are when you assume something will last forever. Every conversation feels precious. Every laugh feels significant. Every ordinary moment becomes extraordinary because you are fully, completely there. Fourth, it teaches you grace. To love someone you cannot fully have requires a level of grace, of dignity, of emotional maturity that ordinary love doesn't always demand. It teaches you to give without guarantee, to care without control, to wish someone well even when your heart is breaking. That is not weakness. That is the highest form of love. And fifth, most importantly, it teaches you hope. Because if you can feel this deeply, if you can connect this profoundly, if love, this real, is possible for you, then it is possible again. I want to say something that might sound strange at first. I am grateful. Grateful for the timing that seemed wrong, grateful for the complication, grateful for the ache of it. Because here is what I've come to understand. Late doesn't mean meaningless, complicated doesn't mean worthless, short doesn't mean small. Some of the most significant relationships in human history were defined not by their duration but by their depth. Not by how long they lasted but by what they unleashed. This person, who came when they came, how they came, did not arrive too late. They arrived exactly when I was ready to receive what they had to offer, not a moment sooner, because a moment sooner I would have taken it for granted. I would not have recognized it. I would not have known what I was holding. You have to be broken enough to recognize gold when it appears. You have to be empty enough to appreciate fullness. You have to have known enough darkness to truly see someone's light. And so I stand before you today, not with a perfect love story wrapped in a bow, but with something far more real, a story of two people, one arriving late, one finally ready, both changed forever by the encounter. So what is the message? What do I want you to carry out of this room today? Whether you are 18 or 80, whether you have found love or are still searching, whether you are in the beautiful beginning or the complicated middle or the painful end or the quiet aftermath. This is what I want you to remember. Do not close yourself because someone came too early and left too soon. Do not build walls so thick that the next person cannot reach you. Do not be so rigid about timing, about when love should arrive, in what form, wearing what face, that you miss it when it comes. Do not decide that because something ended it was a mistake. Some chapters are written not for permanence but for transformation. Do not confuse complicated with worthless. Some of the most valuable lessons of your life will come wrapped in the most complicated circumstances. And please, please do not regret the love that came at the wrong time, because it changed you. It made you softer and stronger at the same time. It made you braver, more honest, more open, more real. It showed you who you are capable of being when someone truly sees you. And that is not a loss. That is the greatest gift one human being can give another. You came into my life too late. That is what I thought. But the truth is, you came into my life exactly when my life was ready to become what it was always meant to be. You arrived when the walls I had built were finally tired. You arrived when the silence inside me was finally loud enough to need filling. You arrived when I had finally stopped performing and started living. And yes, it's complicated. And yes, it's bittersweet. And yes, some mornings I still wonder what would have happened in a different version of the universe where the timing was simple and the path was clear. But then I remember, I am not who I was. I see differently, I love differently, I live differently, because you came, and even if you couldn't stay forever, you changed everything. And that, my friends, is not a tragedy. That is one of the most profound and beautiful things that can happen between two human beings. To change each other, to see each other, to love each other, even across impossible circumstances, and to walk away from the encounter more alive than when you began. So to everyone in this room who has loved like this, who has carried a love that came at the wrong time, or the complicated time, or the beautiful, painful time, this is for you. You are not broken. You are not unlucky. You are not cursed. You are someone who has loved deeply, and deep love, no matter when it arrives, no matter how it unfolds, always, always changes everything. Thank you.